Where is God in a coronavirus world? At our weekly team clergy meetings, that's Richard, Francis and the two Pauls, have been reflecting on John Piper's recent book, Coronavirus and Christ. Taking a chapter each week, we have not yet finished, but the exercise is proving fruitful and interesting. John Piper is a Christian theologian and writer, and in this book, written in late March, as the global crisis was emerging, he reflects on the COVID-19 pandemic and explores God's presence in it, as well as what Scripture and our faith have to say in the current circumstances. There are no quick and easy answers, are there ever? But I have found his work helpful and enlightening in a challenging time. I offer here a few personal reflections from reading the first half of his book. I offer too a disclaimer. These do not necessarily represent the views of the other clergy. Piper writes, "This is a time when the fragile form of this world is felt. The seemingly solid foundations are shaking." How quickly the rug was pulled out from under our world. Humanity, which previous to COVID-19 felt perhaps more certain of our mastery over our own fate and even that of the world, is reminded of nature's power and of the mirage of self-reliance and of our need to rely on the sure foundation of God in Jesus Christ, not our own strength. Piper talks of playing the odds. The idea that we place our trust in the probability of life's circumstances. I am fortunate to be a 46-year-old healthy and fit man. A few grey hairs now, but living in a peaceful and wealthy part of the world. The odds were on my side. Maybe they still are. The COVID-19 pandemic has made me ponder anew. Nobody knows how any individual's body will react to the disease. Whilst life always has been a risk, being run over by the proverbial bus, somehow the last few weeks have brought these odds more sharply into focus. Actually, I could die. Someone I love could die. Piper encourages us to place our confidence in the rock who is Jesus Christ. Rather than playing the odds, to put our hope not in earthly or human hands, but in the God who is in control, not just of our lives and deaths, but every part of our world and the entire cosmos. Piper writes, "The same sovereignty that could stop the coronavirus, yet doesn't, is the very sovereignty that sustains the soul in it. Indeed, more than sustains, sweetens. God is with us. Stuff happens. Bad things happen to individuals and to the world. That doesn't mean God isn't there and won't provide us with the means to overcome, personally or globally. Jesus suffered for our sake. God didn't prevent him going to the cross, but through the cross came the greatest victory in history over sin and death. I have come to see new ways of sustaining the soul, not least through online worship, online courses, and a much less building-focused approach to faith. The church has not been closed, just different. And as our buildings open again, we'll want to continue those things which sweeten the soul, not just revert to what went before. It's important that we ask ourselves continually the question, where is God in all this? The COVID-19 pandemic offers a very particular context from which to consider God, the church, and faith. We've been forced into a way of living very different from what we were used to. I won't be the only person who did things because that's what I've always done, or that's what I do. The last 3 months have opened up to me new ways of living. I'd never even heard of Zoom or Teams before March. The church values tradition, often rightly. Sometimes, though, precedent can be a master rather than a helpful servant. The tail can easily wag the dog. Now that we have had to stop doing what we've always done, we will need to consider carefully what it is we pick up again and what we discard, as we return to what our politicians are calling a new normal. I would encourage us all to be as open-minded as possible in our approach. COVID-19 is undoubtedly a tragedy. It may, though, be a catalyst for change in a way we could never have foreseen and would never have had the imagination or courage to consider, not just locally in our own church and team parish, but across the Diocese of Worcester and in the Church of England. I commend to you John Piper's book. Why not purchase a copy and read it for yourself? I finish by sharing the introductory paragraph of his final chapter, entitled Loosening Roots to Reach the Nations. In the coronavirus, God is loosening the roots of settled Christians all over the world to make them free for something new and radical, and to send them with the gospel of Christ to the unreached peoples of the world.